didn't have the YouTube video, and I usually write notes as we go, but sometimes I get distracted by the conversations, then I have to write down, like, oh, watch the video from this time to that time, and it was Dave talking about the wastewater, and I just remember it being important, and I don't remember what it was, though, so I have to go
So you're
back.
gonna watch the video?
So now that it's posted, but I still have a lot going
So
on.
we will make a motion to
Okay.
approve the minutes, right?
You might want
No,
to turn
no,
on the
say-
microphone over there, and like everybody, with this system, everybody should have their microphone as close to their mouth as possible.
All right, so
Are they all on?
we're gonna get started. Is Samantha there? She's on the phone.
I'm gonna run and get some water, guys, I'll be right back.
Okay. Is it?
I'm here.
Oh,
Can you hear
hi.
me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Samantha.
We got a small
I'm here.
group. How you
Oh, it
doing?
looks like it. I'm good. I'm just a little bit on the go today, so that's why I'm doing
All right.
audio.
Allison just left the room for a minute. When she comes back, we'll call the meeting to order.
Okay.
All right?
Sounds good, Brian.
All right. Rebecca's busy with her plant sale.
I'm so excited for that sale. I'm gonna volunteer a bunch next week at it, I hope, so
Well, that's great.
excited.
Yeah.
It's such a great program.
I was thinking of volunteering as well, because I really don't understand it, and it would be good to get some exposure to it.
I planted out my, nearly my whole landscape in bare root from that sale last year, and it's all very small because you start as babies, but it's doing really well.
That's great. Hey, Petey.
I don't count.
Oh, you count.
Oh, you count.
You don't know how much you count.
Jeez, this is so official looking.
Yeah, it's very official. And Allison's here, but she just ran out of the room for a minute.
You know, I don't see very well, and I looked at you and I saw all these things. I couldn't see your faces, and I thought, where am I?
You got here all right.
Well, I went swimming and I was late getting home, so
You went swimming?
Well,
All right.
I was just gonna say this new setup makes the audio is significantly better.
oh, that's good.
That's great. And
Yeah.
we have an AV person, Renee, that helps us out now, which is really good.
Great.
All right, so I'm going to make a motion. We call the meeting to order. All right, and then regarding the minutes from last meeting, Barb suggested that we hold off on approving those because she
Want to amend them.
wants to review the video first and amend them. So we're not going to make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting, right?
Yep.
All right, so
Okay.
Allison, can you give us an update on what's going on with the select board or anything? Do you have any news from the,
My first comment there was just gonna be that, if we could just try to change the way the agenda always says Board of Selectmen,
Select board.
and it just
Select
drives me
Board.
crazy. Because it's just such
I
a
said
symbolic.
select board, right?
You did,
Yeah,
you did,
yeah,
but I see
we,
it,
we want to call it select board, not,
yeah, on the
yeah,
agenda.
I agree.
We did away with that.
So we'll cross
Decades
that
ago.
off. Yep.
Marathon meetings.
What's
Yes.
going on with the select board? I'm not really qualified to answer that question. I guess it would be better if you have any specific questions, because I'm not prepared with a report. We
No.
voted on the budget.
Hi, Molly.
We voted on the budget. That was painful. I would say a big disappointment for me was the inability to get support for GIS. I think I didn't do enough work ahead of time with town staff. But that's wanting to have, more funding available so that it's not just me that would go out and train everybody to use the stormwater app. And I think that overall, that's just really, really important for the Conservation Commission and for lots of town planning that we have, because we have all of this work that gets done and all of these reports, and everybody forgets. And the way to keep that more visible is to have the digital database of the town and all the parcels and all the trees and all the underground infrastructure and all of that, clickable and, be able to turn layers on and off.
Okay.
And
When you say everyone forgets, you mean like select board members or everybody in town?
society, you want to talk about, we
Right.
can talk about town staff or like society. It's just, it's amazing what we forget, like, just looking at old, newspapers and things like that of what things that have been studied, things that have been decided, things that have been known, just like you look at things like DEP databases of like known oil spills and things like that, or hazardous waste sites. And all of that stuff is really useful for when you go to do anything else, like to know that like, oh, right, there was a dry cleaner there, potential underground storage tank there. We should be trying harder as a town to do all of those things. I was listening the other day when we were talking about the sewer extension to Mountainside, to the mobile home park.
Right.
And they said, well, we don't want the same thing to happen again where there's an overflow and it causes an algae bloom in the river. I was like, oh, when did that happen? Are we sure it was caused by them? Like, so anyway, that's just kind of a little small example, but I do think there is still the wastewater budget that we have to vote on, which I think we should look at carefully. And so I think we should get a handle sort of soon on specific things that we want to make sure that we can do, and we should ask for a cost estimate for those things, because anyway, it didn't happen on its own. And but I think you met Justin last time,
Yep.
Yeah, a couple weeks, 2 meetings ago, I think.
and that is just such a great development for the town. And I'm the benefit of having Justin and all of his knowledge is gonna offset, and I think lack of increased funding for GIS. He's going to be getting his bearings for a little bit, but I had a conversation with him about the need to look at our GIS layers as like assets that need to be managed, and how, I mean, they require maintenance and review and updating and all of that. And he was saying, oh, you've got some things you've got the wastewater layers are stored over here, and you've got this other stuff over here. And I was like, yes, those are all the problems. Like you're saying it in such a professional way too. It seems like you know more about this than I do. That's wonderful. So I think that, like, because I was telling him all about the stormwater app, and how you're in there right now and you can't see like the way we have the wastewater, the underground sewer system in a database, but it's not viewable within this. You can't edit that, or you can't even view that if you're in the app where you're trying to edit the stormwater system, things like that. So, and right now, all of this stuff is like the tree stuff that we've done, all of it's like really going well, and it's great, and it's the kind of thing you can write stories about and we could get awards for, but it's fragile because it depends on Dave. And it depends, like, if Dave were to leave, you know, I'd be able to be like, rah, 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 we need to do this. But it's close, you know, there's not somebody that's really, the town's overall investment in GIS is very, very low compared to other
So it's
towns.
not a champion.
Yeah, and it's just overall, we're not like investing in GIS as an integral part of what we're doing
Right.
as a town. And no town or city that's of like respectable size kind of is spending as little, I would say, as we are. We're just winging it and not keeping track of a lot of stuff. So like, but Justin is just a perfect example. South Portland has gone through a lot of the similar things that we have. They have a lot of similar problems, similar concerns, and they're just a little bit bigger and ahead of us. So I think that looking at different things that South Portland has done will be a good opportunity for us because we have somebody here now that's going to be really familiar with it.
So he's focused though on the DPW infrastructure stuff, right? I mean, like, I feel like, I think we let's take the ash tree database that, Louisa Crane put together in 2017. And we really need to get all that stuff plugged in awaiting an emerald ash borer situation, which none of us want to have happen, but we need to be prepared, right? That kind of stuff, getting that into the database.
I thought it was already in the database.
It's not in the tree. I don't think so. No.
Yeah, so it's that kind of stuff. And
What's Justin's last name again?
go.
We were gonna, we had talked about doing an inventory on those trees, right?
Yeah, we were gonna.
The
yeah,
specimen
I think kind of
trees.
Going around and just
I mean,
seeing if they're still there.
this is just an example. I'm
That's
not- I'm not trying to
the number
sidetrack.
one example. And
I'm not
what
trying
I
to
got
sidetrack.
frustrated about in the select board meeting, I was like, there's all this good stuff going on, and to move it forward is coming down to me and my ability to coordinate it. And then,
There was another discussion.
but and I could show you the most recent email that I have about that. We do have a GIS coordinator position now.
Was it approved?
Well, it's gonna, yes.
Is that
Um,
going to be helpful to this kind of stuff? I mean, helping us get, like, who's going to can put the data into the,
No. So none of that. I'm just hoping to get to the point where, no, she's not going to be doing any of the like data entry exactly. And I guess that could be on the list of tasks, like better understand the
Right.
scope. There's a lot of different, like between, as we're starting to ramp up a little bit, what we're doing with GIS, it became very overwhelming to Audra because the licenses for different things and the different people wanting different things and the difficulty of deciding which department it resides in. It's funny, each department head, because of the way our budget process is, it's so like, participatory and accusatory, and there's a strong desire by each department head to like have their budget, the percent increase be very, very low so that they don't get personally attacked. And so a lot of the time it's just awful.
that sounds
We need
political.
nice. Oh, it's terrible. And it's not, but so what they do is they like don't want new things in their budget sometimes.
So it won't show.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, that's really more of a this thing or this thing or a, and it's like, and so it's like each department head has put the bare minimum in their budget and they've tried to split it all up. And really like the overall town interests aren't well served in trying to split up like all of the GIS tree work from the GIS sidewalk work or the GIS like zoning map update or the So anyway, Audra, there's now a person that's supposed to be kind of coordinating the licensing and all of that stuff.
So,
But practically speaking, to make things better in the short term, we need to just get, there is that emerald ash borer thing that Louisa did. I did send that to CAI, and Caitlin.
yeah, I was gonna ask about Caitlin,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about,
right?
is the GIS coordinator. I'll,
And she's works in the assessors group, right?
yeah, she's, the reality is though that she's not gonna have the,
Expertise.
yeah, or the ability to like, she's not going to do that work herself. We need to get CAI to do it. It's not that hard, but let's see about getting
CAI.
to come to a meeting, and it can, in fact,
Caitlin or CAI?
CAI. I will ask Audra about that. And because we were told that that there should be money available in this budget year. And if we go over the GIS budget, then we go over the GIS budget.
All right.
So yeah, that's,
So for our purposes, I remember back probably 6 months ago, we talked about doing it. For example, just to drive in a concrete direction, the ash tree, survey the ash trees that are on Luisa's list.
The specimen ones.
The specimen ones,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
The ones we want to make sure don't inadvertently get taken down for whatever reason, and identify those. We were kind of waiting on this GIS database to use that as a tool for us to log in as we went around and did that. It sounds like that's not realistic anymore. And we just need to do it, even if it's a paper trail we create or something, right?
are you guys at the point where have you done all the other tree work that you have to do?
Now, well.
Like the identifying planting locations and all
We
that?
haven't done that. I don't know if anyone else has worked on that at all. It's
Well,
me and Brian and myself a little bit.
Yeah, the thing with the discussion we had with Dave, though, was he has enough of a backlog of tree planting opportunities that if we didn't identify any new ones, he's got plenty to work on as it is, right?
Oh,
No,
I thought he told
no,
me that he
no.
needed you guys to get going with that.
He did in the
With halos.
2 meetings ago. He said he has enough locations identified, but he needs us to get the potential locations, go to the people with potential locations, and talk to the people who live there and say, "You want a tree?"
He told me he didn't have enough like halos ready to go.
That's what he told us. It was
Okay.
2 meetings ago.
He's worried about having too many promised, because then what happens, people start
Yeah.
agitating, and if the system isn't really set up to do that,
I didn't
it's
hear-
just
Actually,
Dave
no.
doing it.
No,
What
he
he
said
said.
he wasn't, no, he told me he was worried about having locations ready to go where he knew the people were accepting, I think.
Right.
Find those minutes and read them to you because
No, I believe you.
So I
just
feel like we
didn't hear that.
should work on that.
definitely should be working on
And
that.
this is for the street tree thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna advertise it in this, so we should.
Yeah.
We still want to advertise it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
We
yeah.
want to promote it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mark
Okay,
it
so
as
that's gonna
promoted.
get promoted
Yeah.
in here with Kendall as the
Yes.
contact.
Oh,
Right.
perfect.
Yes, I clarified that. with
That's
Dave.
great,
Yeah.
Molly.
Yeah.
So
That's something we
in
can
the March
use.
meeting, Dave asked us to make sure that the members of this group contact owners of potential tree locations and make more green circles on the app. He needs 30
Yeah.
more
Okay,
right away.
So you probably don't have time for the ash trees anyway right now.
What?
So you
we-
probably don't have time for the ash trees
Right.
I
anyway
mean,
right now.
but we
Okay.
really, I think we every member of the committee should try to commit to doing, I don't know, 6 or something
yeah, right.
each somewhere in the next.
And those are identified on the tree app, the GIS database.
Yeah, so that part should be up and running.
All right,
But we do need a list of the changes that we would like in the tree app, I
I
think.
brought it up because I didn't think that, and it's important I get corrected.
Well, and people,
When did he decide this? Because this is news to me. Last
it was in
night,
the March meeting. It's in the
Okay.
March action items.
that
Okay,
he
so-
actually wants okays for particular
He
trees.
needs us to contact the locations of
30 of
potential
them.
trees and contact the owners to make sure that it goes, there's
Yeah,
different markings to turn them
Those
into.
are the dots or whatever it is.
People who are-
All right, so we can take that
Basically-
off.
It's the halos. It's the
Green halos.
The green halos.
we have plenty of potential locations where people have gone out and been like, I'd like to see a tree there, but not enough.
And Rebecca and I went up Union Street and found some more, right?
Yeah, but
We
Belmont
didn't
Ave.
talk to any, yeah, we didn't.
But you didn't talk to
See,
follow up.
talking
it's
to
not-
people is a really
So how
different
about-
situation.
But if we also have Molly and Kathleen's
I was gonna say,
incredible
if someone
brochure,
gets
if
the
no one's.
packet and just says, oh, I want one of those, and calls Kendall, what's the next step? Does Kendall go into the GIS and
yeah, then she can put the halo there.
does she know how to do that?
Yeah, or if she doesn't, then Dave's
Okay.
got that
And
covered.
then.
Unless maybe the system will be that it'll turn into her calling Samantha or something, or whoever is gonna volunteer to put it in, but yeah, Kendall should
Okay,
be
so
able
we
to,
should,
You're the Halo man.
but yeah, it'll be
confirm
great.
that
I feel like I have that.
Before we send this out too.
You should what?
We should confirm that workflow. I can touch base with Kendall and see what, right? I mean, have a plan in place for
Yeah.
what her next, when
Molly,
someone.
Well, I think Dave and Kendall communicate so like
They work next to
fluidly
each other.
that they'll solve that problem and they'll let you guys know if they need, like, I don't know if Kendall's been trained in the tree app yet, but I know she wanted to be.
If it works for them to send me, if she gets a call and somebody wants a tree and she sends me the name and address by email, I'm happy to add them to the app anytime.
Okay.
Yeah,
If
that's,
that works for them, or if she wants to just add it herself, that's fine too, but I'm happy to do that.
that's worked well in the past, for you to be the technical person.
Thank you.
Okay,
Halo got taken away.
Thank you for asking.
But that'll be great to have people self-identifying with, seeing the,
Molly, what's the time frame on that brochure?
So I brought, I don't want to skip, I know it's on the agenda. We can do it now or do it later.
Why don't we just keep talking about it?
Do you have more that you want?
no, I'm like the queen of getting things off track anyway, so.
Okay.
just-
All right, so we'll hop around since we're sort of already on topic here. Okay, I think we're basically ready to go, unless pending your feedback, if you think something should be removed or there's something glaring missing. These are two different, like very minorly different versions, just
Cool.
because that's what I have printed out, that you can get the concept. And then this is the little like tuck-in card that we talked about that's will go into the envelope. And I think we can get some really cool stickers from Symmetry at cost, and I'm willing to pay for those. That we can stick in that say "Home is where the trees are," and it can either say like Maine or Camden, whatever we want to do.
Cool.
So we can put that in.
That's
So that
nice.
would be what gets mailed.
Yeah, that's great.
Fantastic.
And that will go, the mailing will be to,
So we're thinking all the households in town.
Yep.
And I spoke with someone at the town office to try to get an idea of what that number looks like, and they thought it was 2,500. Does that check out to you guys? Do you guys have any idea? No.
I think it's something like that, but
Yeah, so I think next steps, if you all look these over and don't have any changes to make, is just Kathleen and I will have to figure out the printing and mailing and get them out.
So, I don't know that you have room, but shading and cooling.
We talked about putting that in.
Maybe it's there and I just haven't found it.
well, that's great. That's wonderful.
See, if it shades the asphalt, you don't get the stored heat and we don't use as much air conditioning.
So is the town gonna support the mailing and the printing?
So it was implied, at one of the meetings when we talked about this, that the town could print these.
Yes.
However, I'm not super sure that this is a thing that should really be coming out of the town budget.
Oh, we could debate for hours about the, how much is it likely to cost?
I don't know, because still need to talk to them about printing. So far, this has really just been like an internal concept.
Well, he had suggested he had some budget, right? And then Audra mentioned that we could maybe find the necessary monies for some of this stuff, right? I'm looking at you, Allison, and I don't mean to keep,
Yeah, I mean, it's
Dragging you
always
into the
bad.
conversation.
I remember conversations like that too.
yeah.
Now, how about if
Just
you can
let's
get
find
a
out how
rough
much it
idea
is.
of the cost
Yeah.
of printing
Okay.
and mailing, and then we'll just see where we can find the money.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Do
Estimate.
you know if we have anything in like Project Canopy funds that could be used towards this, or our like general Everyday Foundation, Tree City USA stuff?
We sometimes find that pursuing all of those grants, the amount of work required for reporting and all of it actually exceeds like the benefit that we
Yeah.
receive from it in some ways. And so,
No, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. All right.
So
but
I
we
just
don't
kinda asked-
have currently, we're not
Well,
in
but-
possession of funds
I don't
for
think so.
these types of things from any of those grants that we already have. You know what?
no, but we have a tree planting budget. And I mean, there is a good argument for using, so the town makes trees available. We've already decided as a town value that we are going to fund the replanting of like the street canopy. So then to say that mailings like this make it more likely that that will be done like in an equitable way that's like available to everybody, rather than just like, oh, if you know about it, then you get trees. This is letting residents know about this opportunity. And so I think that, you know, when you look, I'm guessing the costs of printing, what are you thinking? We're thinking like 3,000 of those,
Yeah.
double-sided.
So if you,
Like, it's not gonna be $20,000. It's gonna be
No, it's not.
$500, 6,000, I don't, what do you think?
in the mailing,
Like, so
Well, and that's
that's what like
another
4 trees cost, or inexpensive, really inexpensive trees. So I think that making sure like that opportunity gets out widely is important, and it makes sense to fund. But it would be helpful to know the actual number.
Yeah, okay.
How is it being distributed?
Is it through, are we gonna do direct mail, or are we gonna do like,
So someone mentioned the idea of bulk mail, which
Yeah.
I know very little about.
it's amazing, the post office, that's how all those political ads and stuff happen, where they just, I know that I've heard in the past that like sending a postcard, a double-sided like postcard like this to everybody in Camden was under, I want to say, or maybe it was everybody in Camden Rockport, it was like under $3,000. We should just look into I think, I don't know who did the printing or who did the.
Yeah, I need to look into.
We've also done things where we've sent things out with the wastewater bills. Doesn't get everybody, but that actually might make sense in some ways, because what we're targeting here, I think, is
Yeah, why don't you take? a
is
look
like
at it?
street trees, right? It's not so much street trees on rural roads.
Yeah, and people get really confused.
So we might not want to confuse everybody, like on Melvin Heights Road, into trying to get a street tree.
Try to
So
say
it might
town.
make sense to do it as
With the stormwater.
like so if we want to do like inserts in the with all the wastewater bills
Right.
or things
Yeah,
like
that's a
that.
great idea.
That would like self-select for everybody on sewer, which
sewerage,
isn't a
yeah.
perfect.
Good idea.
Additionally, extras could be available in the town office,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
And,
And if we're doing surveys and saying, okay, this is a place for a tree, and then we go to talk to the homeowner, if we had someone we are walking around as well, if they're not home, we could always leave it with somebody. Although if they have a mailing,
I
I
guess my
suppose.
feeling is this is like this mailing isn't necessarily a comprehensive explanation of our street tree program, right? That's one little part of the packet. It's a very small part, and it's basically contact Kendall for more information. This is more of like a thought nudge on contemplating the value of the trees.
Right.
But-
In town and taking care of and not cutting down
Down trees,
existing
right,
old
yeah.
trees. And also,
Right.
by the way, we do this program, it's a small part of it, so.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Mm,
But I do think, I agree with Beatty, that where you have the picture of the tree and the roots, which is great illustration. If you can add one more line about, how did you put it, Beatty? Shade
Provides shade and cooling.
reduces the temperature of,
Yeah,
Because it's supposed to
getting
be
the
a very
asphalt
hot
part's
summer.
pretty-
Yeah.
But
And
I wish
people might be
people knew
thinking-
about it, because everybody's all ready to go with air conditioning.
Okay, so you're gonna get a estimate, Molly, for what it
Yes.
costs to print?
Yeah.
And then we can explore it as an insert with the wastewater bills, right? Because it self-selects for people in the village area on town
Yeah.
sewerage instead of, and that's really where we want, we love trees, but we want to put them in the downtown village area first, right?
Yeah.
Because there's lots of trees and,
Yes, but
Although,
I think the idea was for everyone in town to get one of these things.
yeah,
Like
you're
everyone
right, you're
should
right.
get it.
Because
Not
that's
just
not
people
just
in
a street
town.
tree,
Yeah.
that's a good
Right.
point.
It's not a street tree
Yeah,
program.
that's a good
for
point.
sure.
That's about don't.
Exactly. There's a benefit, the value of like trees in the neighborhood
That's a
and
good
all of
point.
that is
Respect your elders.
something we're trying to.
So is the town going
Your
to
alders.
provide non-street trees?
No.
So I think what
No.
she's saying is like,
No.
this is about, like, there's this whole like value of the
Yeah,
trees and
yeah.
being part of our community.
Yeah, that's,
Like, but no, and those are valuable everywhere, but the town isn't gonna pay for you to plant
It's the
trees.
int.
That's what I am kind of saying. So maybe we just need to think about making like the header a little more like, and if you live in did you know
What
that
is it, like,
if you live in
in the
downtown
village.
area, if you
or
live in a village,
In town or in the village.
Camden Village area.
yeah. If you live where we consider it to be the downtown, if you live downtown, I mean, you could just say, if you live
Well, there are districts.
downtown, or if you live
That's but village area. That's
if you
Big
live in
enough.
the village area,
village district.
since we all know that town zoning maps so well. Jeremy gets up there and he's like, well, it's the BTR, Allison, it's, I'm like, oh yeah, I just got that.
People don't think about it.
Village extension.
Well, if you say the village and then Dave or whoever gets called, explains that we have priority for the really more dense parts. And that's the priority for the town. And that way they know that they might be on their own getting a tree.
We could also,
instead of like street tree for free, village street tree for free, and then say the public.
Village street shade trees, because a lot of people love evergreens and that you haven't
and BD hates them.
explained that. Yeah, I don't know if you want to, because it's more general. But you'll have people who want you to plant a conifer on the street.
no.
Well, so below it says the Public Works Department will plant a shade tree.
Yeah.
So it says shade tree there.
That's good.
On homes in the village area,
What's that?
on homes in,
Yeah.
I think that this, meet your tree warden thing might,
You don't think that's good?
I think I can provide some like comments, but offline maybe. But I think it's just might be a little unmanageable for him.
On what?
Just like the too much like attention or too much
He approved it, but
Yeah, he seemed like he was okay with it.
he seemed, yeah.
that was before the budget process. Maybe
Ah, Yeah.
that soul sucking exercise that I was referring to. I don't know. I just
okay.
trying to keep people from getting some people don't like trees or anybody that promotes them and
There's this.
you guys didn't
asking
come to the
people is
budget
gonna be
committee
hard.
budget meetings.
So Molly, can you email us the PDF files of those and we can review those and get back to you, say, by Friday with any inputs or something like
That
that?
sounds great, yes.
Because
Yes,
that
because I
way
know
we
it can
don't
be
have
hard
to.
to like provide
Yeah, and then you,
uncomfortable or even just thorough feedback. in
and that,
person,
because,
so.
and then you can have the editorial privileges of deciding whether you want to put it in
Okay.
our comments
Yeah.
or not, because if we got to get consensus on everything, we're never going to get anything done.
Exactly.
You gotta start somewhere.
So,
All right.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I'll get a PDF. I'll try to incorporate some of the comments we have gotten today and then get that sent out for feedback by Friday.
it's excellent.
Thanks,
Great.
Molly.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Can we segue to, I'm just going over the agenda, walking map of trees. Barb and I went out and did the inventory of the walking map that
Is that
Nancy.
Nancy's?
put together. And every tree that's in that map still exists except one, and that was the one on Lake Beach that
Right.
got tumbled down in that storm.
Right.
Yeah.
But the rest of them are still around. Now, there's a bunch of other dots identified, and there's no information on what the trees are, where the trees are, they're just dots on the map.
Yeah.
So
We don't know.
I need to get a hold of Nancy and find out if she has any information on those so that we could finish that up. But did that, it was fun, and
Brian, you know that's only half of what she wanted to do, and you might ask her just to describe the rest of the program that she wanted
What her
to do and
vision
didn't have
was?
time for,
yeah.
in case some volunteers come along and want to do it.
Does anybody have her email address or anything?
She doesn't do email.
No,
On the packet there?
Nancy
I don't think
doesn't
we just-
do email.
She doesn't do email.
Okay. Maybe
Okay.
a phone number is on there.
Oh, Samantha
In the
gave me,
corner for
Samantha
You
gave me a
can-
phone number.
Yeah, you have to use a phone number and leave a message.
She has a much better life not being online.
Oh yeah, it definitely is better for her.
You got it.
Got it. Okay, and then can we segue to the Arbor Day? The Arbor Day activity was great, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
It's
really nice.
wonderful.
And the Samantha did a great job putting that press release together.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank
Oh
you.
yeah, I read that and felt such pride in like this group, and I was just like, oh, because I didn't read over any of the drafts that were circulating around, and I was like, I'm sure they've got it. And then I read it in the Penn Bay Pilot, and I was just like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, this is so wonderful.
Just the way I
was-
felt about it.
You did such a great job on that, Samantha.
Mhm.
And the homeowners-
Thank you. Well, I actually took some liberties because everybody had approved it, and then I went to the Arbor Day website and they had some additional media guidance, and I was like, oh, I gotta incorporate some of this. So it got a little longer and meatier, and I was happy with how it turned out too. Thank you.
It was great.
And then
Thank you.
And then
the
George,
homeowners are.
they were really happy. And
Yeah.
Phoebe and George.
They were lovely.
They felt so special, which was
Yep.
really nice.
I was so sad to miss that because for years, it was right up the street from my house. And I was thinking that is just begging for a tree. And
Dave suggested a few more. It was really nice to talk to them about
Yeah.
other things too.
then when I heard that, I was like, and I always thought I need to stop and knock on their door and let them know. And then just like, it just zero involvement from me. It just all materialized.
stuff. So we got that, email from the Department of Agricultural Conservation and Forestry for the invitation to the Arbor Day Week.
Oh, the
So-
recognition,
It's-
yeah.
I went last year, as did
It was
Allison.
great.
I cannot go on that day or
The
that
23rd.
time. But it's a really nice event if you can go. It's a, it's in Augusta, but it's easy to get to from Route 17. And it's a very pretty place.
It's-
And they do a nice job, but I've.
There are all these other towns and every town is there and they have their poster of what they've been doing. And
Not every.
well, not everyone, but I was like, I don't really want to go to the Arbor Day thing. And I went and it was great. I was so glad I went.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful.
Well, I would like to go to that. It looks like, it looks like maybe you have to RSVP with who's coming. Is that
Right,
correct?
yes.
I would
Okay,
recommend if
so-
you can go.
I'd like to go too, as
Okay,
well. And I'm
Brian.
thinking
Oh, good.
we could carpool.
I would love to.
Okay.
Yeah, I've
So-
never been there. It's-
So why don't we, We can
It's called the
start an
Tree, it's
email.
called the Tree City, event. What is it?
you guys,
I'll look it up.
like, I think last year Dave drove or something, he
Dave
met a
did go.
Knoxville
Oh, yeah.
parking lot or something, and I couldn't go, but I wanted to go.
Oh
But
yeah, we all,
do
Edie
we-
and Barb and I went with Dave.
So Beatty, are you interested, Molly?
I've
Make sure
been,
you
I
have-
think other people should go.
We can all go if you want.
Well,
We don't
Not
need
having
to-
a space
You
issue
know, it's
yet.
in the Arboretum, so it's,
Yeah, I've been there a couple of times, which is nice.
why don't you guys work up who can drive and stuff?
Okay, so, I
I'm
can,
not sure Dave can go this year,
when is it?
it's the 23rd.
23rd.
What's this poster thing?
You don't have to do it,
Yeah.
You
I don't-
do.
but you can.
Yeah, it was a really big deal that I had to pull
Big deal
something
to
together.
Nancy, but
It was a big deal to Jan Santerre. We did it last year. She printed it.
Who did the poster?
I did, actually.
Wow.
oh, you did.
Well, yeah, I have this, but somehow I was able to do it completely on my phone and I sent it to her. But when I got
Do you,
there, I was
do you
like,
have the file, Allison, that you could send us and we could maybe revise it and update it?
yeah,
Yeah, that'd be good.
right.
Was it
put in
actual
data.
poster? Like a poster-sized poster?
That's what people had up. I wasn't there at that one, I don't think, was I?
Yeah,
I
you
can't
were.
remember when I went.
Because we're
Um,
supposed to submit that by the 14th, I think.
Oh,
I
that's
know
right,
that I
that's
was
the one.
late,
Oh.
because somebody sent it to me and yeah.
It sounded like you submitted pictures with comments to them and they did it.
they did it. Yes, that's what, maybe
that's
that's what it
a-
was.
That makes it a little easier.
Much.
Can you
Definitely.
send me that email? I'm not sure that I.
Yes.
Got it.
I'll send it to you and Kathleen, make sure you and Kathleen get it.
Thank you.
And
Not sure if I can.
Yeah, it
make
was
but-
funny.
why don't I
'cause-
circulate an email with, and we can figure out who wants to go. I can drive
Sounds
like 7 people in my car.
Ooh.
Somebody's gonna use the
Maybe
kid,
you could find a kid.
the kid seats.
Well, there's a guy at the high school who's been trying to tree planish. He had those posters, and
Well,
I actually talked
I
to him.
can't speak for everybody else, but I just assume keep the amount of work we
Okay.
have to do to a
Yeah.
minimum.
Yeah.
As
point.
opposed to, whatever.
Good point.
Unless you want to do it, Beatty.
No,
Sorry to say that.
Oh, shoot, it's a
At least she's
Thursday.
laughing after I said.
well,
it,
you
so
said
that-
you had all these spaces. That just triggered me.
No, I'm talking about in my car for people.
That's what I meant.
Oh, it's
I
here.
meant inviting the,
Oh,
high
yeah,
school
yeah. I
kid.
mean, we could take a couple of cars too if enough people want to go. I
Last
think
year we took two.
It could be fun, I think. And Janet Mills is supposed to give some kind of a commencement or something, I guess. All right, so
Oh
I
yeah,
got,
here's our poster,
you got the poster?
picture of it.
So I'll send an email around. I'll do that by tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I just had to provide like,
send me I'd like to be on that.
Good.
I may
Screenshots
be
of
on the mailing
captions.
list. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I
I
think,
think that would be fun
but yes, I will make sure.
and a good way to make some more connections. Okay,
'Cause
Yeah.
I've been doing posters for years. And I put all all this.
We all done with that topic?
Yep.
We talked about the stormwater mapping. I guess Allison's our coach now, right? According to what you just said.
She doesn't have enough to do.
You got
Well-
enough to do.
Oh, no, it's fine. But here, I'm gonna send this poster to everybody from last year to, but I also remember in terms of the select board stuff, one of the things that we talked about, in a flurry during the Lake Beach, debacle, which continues, of course,
Right.
was an ordinance, a herbicide and pesticide ordinance
Right.
potentially. And I do think that there is some interest on the select board with moving forward with that. And Audra, I don't know exactly where, this may have been a meeting I missed or a conversation, but Audra asked me if the Conservation Commission like had anything ready to go, like as a recommendation. And I was like, oh, definitely not. But
We should. You should.
you should. The non-member BD that.
BD.
I was just telling somebody out on the street, actually, they were like, oh, can anybody go to the Conservation Commission meetings? I was like, yeah, oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely. In fact, BD
The other
Parker.
guy who came.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I met him at the Climate Action potluck dinner and,
So she-
anyway.
So we're supposed to put together a recommended,
well, so this is way out of my wheelhouse in terms of knowing what is the right thing. But Camden, of course, has very little in terms of regulation in this area. I had sent Tom Hedstrom, I know is like, this is an issue he cares a lot about. And I know that at least a couple other select board members care too. I'm sure they all care to some extent, but I know it's a priority for Tom to address. And I had sent him a list of all of the ordinances. The state had something like all the ordinances in the state. And so that I think that maybe in a meeting with Audra or something, they talked about like what things could be ready to start.
institute.
Yeah,
So we
coming
should-
forward.
So we should put those together ourselves and come up with something here as a recommendation that they can.
What's the time frame?
I don't know the answer really to any of these
Sorry, and you've been
things.
sick too.
I have been just really, really sick. And
Well, the
so,
next meeting is this next upcoming week, so less than a week away, but how about for the next meeting?
You're talking about the.
yeah, so I guess
ordinances, right?
it's sort of asking you guys to think about your interest in taking that on or putting it on your radar.
I have a question. Is this only freshwater, only saltwater, or both?
Oh, no, I think it has more to do with the land than the water.
So any shore?
Well,
No, this is-
well, if you look at all the different ordinances in different places, there, it runs the gamut of,
It's terrestrial pesticides, right?
well, I forget what the state calls it, but it's, you know, can be all kinds of different, some places regulate it within a certain distance from a body of water. Some talk about, you know, yards versus agriculture. Some say you can only use things that are on the list of approved, something other. One of the things I liked was that all contractors that are applying it have to be registered with the town.
Oh, that's a good one.
So that, you know, at least you have the ability to
Yeah,
say, we know that of all of the people applying chemicals in the town have, you know, have been trained through blah, blah, blah. I was impressed with the number of towns that were regulating it. The other thing that comes to us from time to time that maybe we should ask Dave to send us the most recent letter is the state sends a letter out to everybody saying that they do that 3-year thing where they spray the right of way on all of their roads with chemicals, and you can get in the, I know, I was like, what? The opt-out list But you have to, if you agree to like do your own vegetation control,
Yeah.
it's to keep woody trees, woody plants from growing.
Sight lines open and stuff.
Yeah, you have to go out and cut
For
them or
ditches
something
and all
like-
that stuff. And so they just go through and they spray. And unless you get on the no spray list, and some private property owners do it, but entire towns can take it over too.
That's good to know.
So
Do they, it might be helpful if Tom or somebody comes to one of our meetings and describes to us a little more what they're thinking about, right?
They have a million meetings to go to, but I think that we could maybe have like get a little sub meeting or something. I just sent everybody the list that Allison was talking about. If we maybe just take a little time to read them over, make some notes,
Yeah.
and then come together with something that we can discuss ourselves. I mean, just so it can happen sooner.
Yeah.
And also, isn't that what Rebecca and Shenley are having meetings about? Is the
no,
shoreline-
that's different.
It is.
That should be thought of totally differently.
Okay.
That's like just shoreland zoning, the shoreland zoning ordinance. Whereas this would be, like with pesticides, you really have to I think you should think about it, not so much just like proximity to a water body, but like, all of that goes in the storm drains and all of that
Right.
stuff. So,
That's what really like drives me crazy. Go for a walk down Bayview Street in the summer, and it's just the smell of pesticides is just overbearing. And
I'm good.
in a few properties, it happens several times a summer.
Wow.
the smell.
Yeah, like up near where the Collies properties were.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's a huge,
Oh, it's really
Problem here.
Really, you can smell it. Really, I do. Just like it smells like the golf course in the spring.
All right, well, a lot of these pesticides have, they have label, they have guidance, right, for proper use and handling and all that other stuff, right? So we're not talking about ordinances to ban them, we're talking about proper usage, thoughtful usage, right? I mean,
there's
that's what concerns me, is I just don't know what they're thinking.
who's they?
It's the select board.
Oh, don't imagine anything. It's more like, maybe we should do something.
All right,
I just want to say something about pesticides. I monitored the Board of Pesticide for 15 or 20 years, and MOFCA has too, and all these things came up. And, whether it's the homeowner or the certified applicator, they have labels, but people don't have a clue of how unregulated most stuff is. And I'm going to send you all the MOFCA pesticide quiz, which is, 20 questions, and then it's true, false. And then you go and find out what the blurb, and someone who was chair of the MOFCA board a long time ago, and then
right.
NRCM also wrote this. Have you seen that quiz?
No, I just finished the Master Gardener program, and there's the integrated pest management
Right,
piece, which,
right.
is
That's
we had to
actually,
for several hours study all that stuff, and it's like, it's not suggesting that you never, ever use pesticides. It's suggesting that, not strongly suggesting that before you do go that far, you should do these things first to make sure that you're,
and people try to do that.
right.
And actually, Tony Bach and my husband have since died, and they were doing that in the Sonny's orchard up the road. They were doing IPM.
Yeah,
But
because,
the stuff that they were using was pretty nasty. They were only doing it when they observed,
right,
just like IPM. But IPM is pretty heavy, and it's used as an excuse when you don't actually have to, or people who don't want the illnesses that they bring on. Herbicides are actually just as bad as insecticides.
oh, yeah.
And then you
Terrible.
have the word pesticide. You say, do you use a pesticide? They think you're talking about insects, whereas you're probably talking about herbicides.
You brought this up before, Petey, and I stand corrected. Herbicides are covered under pesticides, right? So, but anyway, I don't want to get carried away. So what do we need to do? Put together
I've written it down.
like offline and discuss it, or I think,
So-
I don't have enough information to be able to give you a clear directive
Well,
right
I
now.
took from what I wrote from what you took down is that it was recommended by Audra and the select board that our committee come up with recommendations to the
Yeah.
select board for things that we could put in a pesticide, herbicide regulations for the town. And then we have a list of towns, I don't know where this won't load, but
Is there a particular town, Allison, that you feel has, or a couple of towns we could look at their,
yes, I
Guidance.
just sent you that. State of Maine.
oh, good,
I just sent that to everybody. Oops, sorry.
oh, good. Okay.
And so they talks about,
You're always a step ahead of me, Barb, I
yeah,
like that.
so this is what she sent to, Tom. So if we all just take a few minutes
Okay,
to read
So you
those.
sent that to us,
Dogs.
okay.
If you'll take a few minutes to look at what's there and say, yeah, that sounds good, that
That's
sounds
good.
good, that's over the
So it's a
top. or-
good starting point.
Yeah,
I could tell you what Tom told me when I sent him the list. He told me what he thought was good.
okay.
But again, I'm speaking a little bit like I haven't talked to anybody about this in a while. It would
I
it
won't
would
put
probably
it in
have
there,
taken
it's
me
gonna
less
count.
time to walk to Audra's office and ask her for a more robust explanation than for me to just be speculating this whole time. But how about I'll send you guys a follow-up
Okay,
so we don't take any more time here.
All right,
okay, that sounds good.
good.
I want to say one more thing, sorry. The invasive is going to put on some pressure. We're concerned about invasives, and we're concerned about establishing native plants. And there's such a push to do that, that is actually used as a reason to use pesticides. And I'm not saying we shouldn't, but I'm saying that that's something that people are feeling now.
Right, and I can, just one conversation with Rebecca makes me realize I am very low on the knowledge scale. Like, there's really smart people that care a lot, think sometimes a little bit differently about this, so we're not gonna be able to come up probably with a ban all of this, but because it is more complex, and we probably, just like when all the tree people start arguing about what kind of tree we're gonna plant, and it gets like, people quit. So probably we need to,
Sound good?
well, there was a little tension at first, remember? Maybe you weren't a part, I think you weren't a part of that. You certainly didn't contribute to
I
it.
didn't know any better then, so.
So we probably have to kind of find here whatever the thing is that makes things better, that doesn't, go too far in either direction.
Yeah, and I'm sure we as a group will have our own varying opinions on things
Right.
too, which is important, right?
Oh, I'm sure,
That's
like,
why
yeah.
So our role, our charter isn't to put together the ordinances, it's to put together some guidance for the select board. right?
Yes.
It depends.
Citizens for a Green Camden still
Right.
exists, but is not active. And you might want to ask them, because they worked on this very hard, only for lawn chemicals and school chemicals.
Yeah, and then we do have ordinances for town properties, right?
That's what they did. That's what they sort of
Right.
succeeded at, but there was a lot more that they wanted to get done, and there were hurt
You
feelings.
wear out
and-
after a while.
Yeah. Marcia Smith tells me stuff about it, and I don't know I just know that there was a big effort and that only part of it got accomplished. But I don't know the details of what at that point they thought was going to be the best thing for the town to approve. I do think it would be really useful if somebody
I can reach out to her.
could find out, like, what is it that they thought,
I can reach out to her. She's a neighbor.
Okay,
Okay.
did we do the stormwater mapping app thing? We talked about it for 2 seconds.
No.
Are you still gonna
yeah, let's just,
organize a field trip for us to get together and go through that? We've tried that a couple of
it's
times.
been so
Every time it's
terrible.
been
Yeah,
like-
it's always failed.
Something came up.
You pick a time, because sometimes we're trying to pick a time.
And then the 2 times I picked, it was like Samantha Shore was like, "That's the eclipse, Allison." And then I was like, "Oh,
Well, I can pretty much guarantee you that's not gonna be a problem for
Yeah.
100 years or something, right?
Yeah.
okay." So, make sure, what's today? I want to make sure
Today's the
that I,
first.
there's a reasonable
Yeah.
likelihood of feeling well enough
Why
to,
don't you just,
no, don't let me put this off. Let's come up with a time and do it.
At least a week out so that you've
yeah,
regained your strength.
Yeah, so let's see. Is a Friday maybe, not this Friday, what about Friday, the 18th? Oh, no, hold on, Friday.
That's a Saturday.
Friday. This isn't my strong area. Friday, the 17th.
Okay. So pick a time.
Friday.
Does that work for anybody?
That works for me.
Are there times during that day that work for anybody? Um,
Okay.
17th,
Should work.
12:30.
Sure.
12:30. Want to meet at the town common or something?
Should we meet here and walk someplace? What's good? What do you think is a good idea?
Oh, I had something in my head. I was like, oh, if we could, like, we could choose an area that, no, we should meet here because then I can show you how it works and we can get things downloaded.
All right.
In
And
this room?
I think so.
All right.
Maybe Justin can come too.
We should, yeah, Justin, that'd be great.
Maybe. Gotta start trying to reel him into things before he gets sucked up and everything
So
else.
that's May 17
So
at 12:30.
do you want me to send an email out to everybody? Because Rebecca and Sam Sharp and,
I'm gonna try to, I have a crazy busy month, so I'm gonna try to get these minutes done quickly and be done.
okay,
And but I feel like I know in a few cases, some people never even look at them, but it says in there different things like, that, and one time I put the action items in, or I'll just put them in bold. Brian says he will do X.
yeah, right.
Pamela will bring such and such.
Mhm.
Allison will call that person or email, whatever. And if you just even glance
Good.
at that and say, oh, yeah.
Good.
that is what
Okay.
I did that the other day.
What?
I was looking at one of your action item lists, maybe a few weeks ago even.
From
And I was like,
March.
oh, I'm supposed to do
February.
a poster on the storm drain things. And you know what? The one in front of my house was like half clogged up. And I was like, perfect. It was pouring rain. So I went out and I took a picture of that, the rain sort of stuff. I
Well-
was like, now I got to clean it up and take another picture and I will
Well,
do the
it's-
poster, Barb.
We say we're going to do these things and then we leave the meeting and it just forget. And that's why I've really tried to make the minutes become sooner. Because originally, at the very beginning of this thing, I would send them to Rebecca theoretically for her to check them.
Yeah.
And then she wouldn't send them out until the day of the meeting. So it's like, I was thinking, so it's not the member's fault. So now I just might have someone else look at it to proofread it because I'm not terrible proofreader. And I'm just sending out to you guys
We-
directly.
Right.
If we read them, we can always, there's
Hmm?
glaring mistakes. We can always, mention that as a revision in the meeting.
Yeah.
Right? So, but there
I'm just not,
there
I'm
never
just not good
is.
with that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
A couple times Samantha
Okay.
Moore has done it for me.
So Friday the 17th.
Yeah, Barb, I'm always happy to proofread for you.
Yeah,
That's
she's
a
good
strong
at-
suit.
she's good at that, especially after you've been working.
One of the few things I can do.
And you just don't see the same thing.
Yeah.
What do you mean one of the few
Yeah.
things you can do?
Yeah.
The very few things that you do, Samantha. We're all kidding, I hope, because I don't know if you can see us or not, but
Yes. Thank you.
That's
Okay.
Samantha. Really, all she can do is proofread.
So we're making progress
Can
here.
write arbitration releases.
So
next.
next meeting, Pamela and Rebecca going to give an overview on the Lake Park,
Mhm.
Beach Park.
Yeah,
June
You
5th.
good with that?
yeah, we're good with that. Still at the printer, believe it or not. I keep-
Really?
Yeah, I had her do a proof and then I went out, I was like,
It's a thing about shades.
so just do it again and it takes a couple weeks to get it mounted up
So
on.
it's easy to
But it
put it back.
definitely would be ready
Oh,
by
so this is going to
June.
be
The
like.
icon is there
Madison
for it.
Fifth Avenue prison.
Not really. It's just a colored rendering, but it is,
That's
on a
exciting.
board, so people, we're not like,
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
see it.
good.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I might not be able to make the meeting, but hopefully I will, and if they do come, I'll probably be filthy because that's the day of planting the traffic islands,
Oh.
downtown area,
Oh.
and
You're lucky you don't get hit doing that.
I just checked, I
How
know.
you do it.
It's been scary. Last year I had to go weed them myself and it was scary.
Yeah, I
Now we
saw
have,
you.
now we have neon vests,
You
reflective
have a
vests.
traffic detail?
And I just today coordinated with Kendall to get stuff all around us.
Oh, wow.
Good.
So hopefully not, live.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's,
But yeah, I might have dirty fingernails and
no, that's good.
dirt in my knees.
Okay.
That's good. Okay, and then the website update. Okay, so Sam's not here. I communicated with her. I kind of dropped the ball on this. The last email Sam sent to Janice is kind of she's the go-to person for all the website stuff, right?
At this point in time.
So at this point, I think, the goal was to have this as a resource for the townspeople on information pertinent to environmental issues, including things like pesticides, herbicides, emerald ash borer, hemlock woolly adelgid, and links to things that already exist and not try to create a lot of work for ourselves.
Mhm.
In other words, use or utilize resources that have already been created, but point people to them through our page, our Conservation Commission page on the town website. So, and that would include things like on the Department of Agriculture, Conservation, Forestry. There's a lot of good information. There's a lot of good information on lots of different places. The county extension, the soil and Knox linking soil and water conservation district, all over the place. I collected a bunch of links that I thought were useful. Several of them I got from the Master Gardener program thing.
And I sent early on, I sent a bunch to you and Sam.
You did, and I incorporated those into
Okay.
So at this point, I suggested to Sam, once she feels better, that she and I could get back together again. I find it much more useful to have offline meetings to discuss these things instead of waiting every month for us to
Yeah.
talk.
I agree.
Right, and we've been doing that. So, anybody else who wants to get involved, let me know. Otherwise, but I think at some point, it's going to require just sitting down with Janice to see what we can really do and what she's comfortable with, right? Because there's going to be a fair amount of work retooling the website.
Mhm.
Even Dave has some cool stuff on the DPW website but put it all in one place, as much as relevant information and create a toolkit for town residents to go to toolkit. And then when we find new stuff, this would be a good resource. We can put that on there too. But
Yeah, and you can edit it now and then and take some
Yeah,
things
yeah.
off so that it doesn't get too big, but,
yeah,
fresh.
right.
Do you have a link to the street tree program, like sign up or,
Dave has,
I know he does, I
He-
think, or the
he-
DPW.
we don't have any of that stuff yet.
That
We
would be a
created
good idea.
some. we
Links to
created a-
each other.
Yeah,
We started creating a wiring diagram, like this goes to this, that kind of stuff. But we didn't get very far because I think naively, we were thinking, Sam has some skills in the website creation area, but we really need to go through Janice. And we totally understand why, because you don't want a free-for-all with people messing around with the town websites, right? That wouldn't be a really good idea. So does that
Sounds good?
sound good?
Yep.
All right, so it's in process. It's kind of slow, but I mean, it is what it is.
Well,
Yeah.
that's probably why Parks and Rec has their own,
Probably.
really.
That is a really nice website.
And that's sort of, if nothing works forever, then maybe that's something could be done.
Well-
But better on the town website.
I mean, speaking of like the importance of following the town budget process, as painful as it is, that's like it would have been so helpful to have some of you guys at the meeting where there was, so as part of the response from all of these requests to do more communication and finally, Tom pushed to have an additional, like an assistant town manager position added to the budget. feeling like there's just no way that the town can keep up with all of the like demands and all the need for communication, especially now that we don't have newspapers that function. And so he pushed for it. And I mean, we just got cremated it's still in there, but it was a 3-2 vote. And we have a communications person in the budget. But boy, was it painful, just nasty things said. And
Well, you know, I have to say, can I just say,
so that person, that's my long-winded therapy version of saying that if the budget gets passed, we are going to have another person that's going to be helping with this.
And is that meeting on the YouTube channel?
Uh-huh.
you'll take you 3 or 4 days to watch it because it's like a million hours long. Well, it
Yeah,
took
and it was
me
like
3
spread
months.
out over different things. And there's like these,
No, it took me 3 days to watch it.
Wow.
and people were upset because they saw the 10% increase in the overall budget. They were like, oh my God, the irresponsible town. And so what they do is then they look through and see things that they don't think, like, it might not be the thing that is actually increasing the budget very much. But it's the thing that they see, like the GIS or this or that doesn't seem like it should be in there. And so they'll go after that. Really we've got the budget down now to a 0.81% increase to taxpayers, really only by mostly moving things around. Audra had put the budget together in a way that attempted to show full transparency of the impact of like decision-making on the overall budget. And so she put in like stuff for the snowball and like, this is the cost of continuing to do what we are doing. Rather than in the past, what they'll do is they'll like put things more out in like separate questions on the warrant that won't hit the budget until next year. So people vote yes to things. It doesn't hit the budget like as a bond item until the next budget. And it gives people more control over individual things, but it provides them less of a picture of what like the total impact is. So Audra's manager's proposed budget really sought to like show people this is what happens. But inevitably, like public attention for like the attention span for that type of analysis and to really like read over the manager's budget statement and all of that, it's just not there. And so, they chose this, assistant town manager's position as like the thing to go after of the example of, government waste. And really it's the opposite, because what we have all of these things going on and we need more help communicating that. And it's not just something that volunteers can do all the time. It needs to be somebody that's on staff that's paid to, if you want somebody that can do it well, you need to hire somebody that can do it well. And that's an actual skill. So I'm excited that if this budget gets passed in June, which I think it probably will, we'll have another person who can be doing that type of thing. So like for the website and stuff, you may want to kind of wait and be hopeful a little bit, or just ask to have a few links added right now. Because I think there'll be more opportunities.
Well, they'll give it, that's approved, then they can wait till June and they'll be done with their stuff by then and the new
Yeah.
person can do it.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. And then we got the shoreland zoning, so that's,
We already talked about that.
well,
Oh,
yeah,
that
you
was-
you
that was pesticide
mentioned.
force. No, that's shoreline zoning.
Rebecca, this is shoreland zoning,
Okay, sure.
improvement to existing regs, as opposed to pesticides and this and that and whatnot, right?
Right.
So,
Probably need to wait for Rebecca for that, right?
yeah, so, and that basically concludes the agenda. And I want to bring up, we still got a little time left. The issue with the town of Camden sign across from Hannaford and what happened with the hosta planting thing and
It was
I
a
mean-
sneak hosta planting.
I'm wondering if it could be someone from the Camden House Animal.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I drove by and
I
I
don't
looked.
know, because I
Because
went
they
in there
park right
once.
there and
Yes.
just walk right over, maybe someone who thinks.
Or Hannaford.
Or Hannaford, I
Hannaford.
was thinking maybe Hannaford.
Maybe just stop in those places and just nicely ask them.
I actually the first time I was digging around in there, putting plants in and weeding and stuff, I parked at the animal hospital and I did go in and I told them what I was doing and is it okay to park right here? I just, want to get all my stuff out and bring it over. And they were, oh yeah, sure, no problem, no problem. So, I was maybe just one person there, so maybe there wasn't a memo sent out about it, but
I think a laminated sign
Yeah.
of what.
yeah, I think
It
so
doesn't
too.
have to be super noticeable from the people driving by, but just someone
Exactly.
who's there that just can handle the rain and just say, please.
I know, because I'm sure it's a well-meaning.
It is well-meaning,
It's
but-
really, but they're not going to last there. There's no
Not
water
last
there.
us.
It's hot.
No.
It's raised bed.
So,
And the other problem is there's a virus going around in the hosta world. And if you, and as they're just in case you guys are gardeners, or one, don't accept any hostas from friends who are dividing theirs. Just say no. Two, don't try to do it to someone else either. And if you buy a hosta that's not from you want to buy them from some place really reputable, you could do Plants Unlimited or Fernwood or something, but don't get them from Home Depot. Don't go do the Monrovia brand, because basically this hosta is rampant in some of these big hosta farms, mostly which are in somewhere in Europe and stuff like that. And they don't care. They just dig them up and sell them. They're making money. And then you can infect your whole garden. It's called HVX. And it causes discoloration, stuff like that. And then you can never plant hostas in that place if you get one. And if you find it what you have
sounds awful.
in your garden, you have to basically throw the plant away, not even compost or anything. And then you can't plant any of them, wash all your tools and don't plant anything else there.
Cactus.
Right? It's hosta.
Cacti.
Mm.
So, you might get
You could do
jumping
grass or
worms,
something,
which is
but-
the other thing, right?
Right?
Get jumping worms.
Oh, yeah, they're everywhere. If you
So-
don't think you have them, you do have them. And that's one of the reasons why there's not gonna be many plant sales anymore. Because people moving plants from garden to garden.
So,
Yes.
Too bad.
so the laminated sign,
No plant sales anymore?
Well, do you know what jumping worms
Well,
are?
if everybody has
I
them,
do, I don't know if I do.
Okay, it's an invasive worm. But it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world in your garden. It's just that. they're
Aren't all
disgusting.
worms invasive?
No.
None of
Well,
them were
okay.
native, right?
Okay, the typical earthworm, which you've had here for hundreds of years, isn't native. However, it doesn't do any harm. It actually is good for your soil. But there's a new worm called the Asian jumping
I
worm.
have heard
and
of
they
it.
look similar. They're disgusting looking, except when you disturb them, they start jumping and flailing all about.
they wiggle much
And-
faster.
Are those the ones they sell for fishing sometimes?
No.
Okay.
No, that's different. And if you have them in your garden, what I do now when I go
I
gardening,
never see them,
is-
but I think I had them because my soil is now coffee grounds.
then you have them. And
Oh.
now when I go gardening, I never go without my gloves, and I always bring a jar of white vinegar.
Of what?
White vinegar.
Oh.
And so if I I'm always wearing gloves. If I come across one, it goes in the vinegar. And I move over to this area because I'm working. I do the same thing. I
One worm
was
at
on
a
the garden
time.
tour last year. I found hundreds in my property
Oh,
because I was working the entire yard.
So it sounds like we've
Oh.
lost.
Yeah.
It sounds like we've lost.
That was the thing is,
And nobody's
Luckily,
Could
going
we
over
still be
there.
fighting or should we
luckily
just?
they don't move too far away from where they are. But if they get into a forest, they can decimate a forest.
Oh,
And you're next to some forest.
I
Does
am right next to
anything
the
eat
forest.
them? What are their predators other than?
They're still working on that.
robins.
But anyway, yeah, make sure you have a bunch of pair of good
They
garden
don't
gloves.
like
And
colder
get a couple
weather.
gallons of
but-
white vinegar. to
No, we
keep-
don't have.
Now
we
we're
don't
getting-
have
So
any
you
of
don't
that
spread
anymore.
Right, that's it.
It's nothing
Because
that
they're
they're
gross.
working on it. What?
the gloves just because
Bit disgusting.
they're gross. Okay, I just want to be sure.
They're,
I'm not touching them with my hands.
they're actually kind of amazing looking, but it's,
Yeah.
we don't know. What I don't understand is
Huh.
nobody's going over there to study them, where they come from.
I'm kind of sorry I brought
They're,
it up.
it is being studied.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
So the host.
They just look like worms to me. What's the deal? Are they bigger?
Once you disturb the soil, they start
I was hungry. for
And a
lunch,
normal
but
worm
I'm
doesn't
not
do that.
hungry.
It might wriggle along the ground, but it doesn't
It
jump.
really is different behavior.
But
It's
the
quite
big deal is
spectacular.
they destroy your soil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do. They
Yeah.
destroy the humus in your soil. The first like 6 inches of soil.
And they're gross.
In
And
the
they just-
forest duff layer, they destroy it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
Well,
we, you know,
yeah.
People are still growing things in Asia, so there's more to learn.
good point, Petey. That's why we need you at these meetings.
So-
Bring us back to.
With this Lyme disease thing, somebody dropped me off this, this, not vial, but a little bottle, tincture, yeah. And it was like Japanese knotweed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I knew, something in Japanese knotweed, I kind of like it. Like I don't hate it as much as other people. And I was like, oh my gosh, is there a
But is it
useful,
good against Lyme disease?
good against Lyme disease? I mean, maybe we needed that stuff. Rebecca would not be pleased if I was.
Penetrate
Also eat it.
asphalt.
Yeah, you can eat it like
It
asparagus.
can grow through asphalt.
I mean, and we need things to grow through asphalt sometimes.
Amen.
Change on that. Just make sure you do not let any get in your.
I don't spread it. I don't do anything on purpose. I just, when I'm down by the little stream by Daly Brook there, and there's, you know, it's just suffered so much, and those poor brook trout, they need shade desperately. And we've done such a terrible job reforesting everything. And the Japanese knotweed comes up, and it protects them. And I know that it's not as good as
Yeah,
all
so
the other
don't-
things that could
Yeah,
protect
you know,
them.
so don't take them out there, but
But people that just want to eradicate the Japanese knotweed and not replace it with anything.
And it gets
I'm like-
buzzing with bees if there's. any
Right.
around.
bees like it too. But you just basically don't want it in your property because it spreads very quickly.
very hard to
Really hard to
control.
eradicate.
Mhm.
And it can grow through. a
So it's sort of an
driveway.
economic threat.
Or
I
it can
walked
bring
along the
donation, yeah.
sidewalk from, downtown Camden to the state park. And there's some growing, it's not far from Audra's house. Past that place. There's some growing in the middle of the sidewalk. Middle of
Yeah,
the sidewalk.
that's where I love it. I used to live in the inner city.
So, I mean, it can, that's a pretty strong plant.
All right, so,
That sidewalk needs to be redesigned anyway.
I know.
So is
So
what
we
I,
wanna
what I
do a sign?
suggested to write on that little sign, just that simple, the town of Camden and volunteers are preparing this site for a native plant pollinator bed. Just, I didn't want to say anything
You
like, so
put-
get your damn hosta out of here.
you put plants in there,
Dang
right?
hosta. Yes, I did.
Pamela?
Yeah, and there might have been some that were actually taken out to put the hosta. in.
Really?
Didn't quite, yeah, yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
look, examine what had happened? Like,
Well, I went into the animal.
to see
When
if
the
there was
hospital there,
some of the
I
plants?
went, what the heck is that? I actually swore a lot. And then I pulled in and I got out and I looked.
Yeah.
And I was like, they took out all of the plants that I
Did they take them off, you think?
I think they
It's
took out
shocking.
some to put the hosta in. And then I was like, and hosta?
Stupid location.
Who-
I know,
who
I
owns
know,
the
but it was a
property?
good, I know, I'm sure it was just a well-meaning.
It was well-meaning.
I mean, that's not, there's nothing happened because I had,
Yeah.
all I could afford were like plugs last year. So they just sat there and kind of, rooted in. So I was hoping, oh, maybe this year there'll be
Who owns
something.
the property, do we know?
It's a state right of way.
State right away.
It's, so it's town, it's not like a right of way, but the right of way is owned by somebody, right? It's not,
It's a town, it's a state, it's the same thing as the trees, where we're planting the trees. It's the public right of way. What's so funny is that it was completely, nobody cared about it at all. Dave was like, let's try to make this better. And so, couldn't even get the garden club to take interest. And now it's like everybody's like, "Ooh,
Everybody's like,
I want to plant a garden there.
I know,
like,
I know.
The idea that somebody else wanted to do it there is
so we
surprising.
agree a sign would be a good idea?
Yeah, I
I
think
Oh,
think
so.
definitely.
Just a little laminated, 8
So-
feet and a half by 11 or something. And
How are we gonna get that done?
I can just take it. I usually I can print something off and take it down or just send a PDF to Adventure Advertising
Yeah.
and have them laminate it. I imagine they might even have little plastic sticks. or
Maybe they're the
something
ones
to
who
put
did it.
it.
I was only a joke. It's a joke.
They've got a raised bed. too, down
So if you want any help, let me know.
Yeah, I asked Dave for more wood chips because I couldn't, there wasn't enough to finish that whole section. And I just went, like last year, I went like 3 times and weed whacked it down because outside of that granite, raised bed,
Yeah.
everything just turned into weeds. And
Yeah, it's-
I was like, that's not good,
I've always
so.
said I don't believe they own a weed whacker over in the town mowing department. It's no, I'm kidding, but I mean, I don't know.
I'm not sure why they do. Anyways, it was fine. It
Yeah,
was
it
like,
was-
but if you want to help me
Yeah,
spread a
you
few
just-
more wood
just
chips.
Let me know.
Yeah, I have to check my
Um,
cardboard supply.
Anything else? I mean, we're ahead of schedule.
I'm going to make a thank you for Janice for all the years that she coordinated the tree program. And I don't know whether to use your tree or a thing that I've used for myself, which is from the cover of my book, but colored. So I'll just work this out with you. But what I did want to know is, would you like the thank you note to include the Conservation Commission? Because they've been kind of behind the tree thing and only when MBNA had money or, Nancy was doing the Arbor Day. And now you're the tree guys. But so do you want Conservation Commission? Otherwise, I'm just going to say thank you from me to Janice because I've
It's
watched
great
her
for it
all
to be
these
from
years.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Conservation Commission?
if you're okay with that.
I'm fine with it. I think it should be,
Yeah, I think it's
Because I
great.
think if the Garden Club
mean, it's very
hadn't been doing
thoughtful
it,
of
the
you to do it.
Conservation Commission would have.
Be nice if you were an official member of the Conservation
Yeah.
Commission too.
Well, I'm
Maybe this could
honored
be your
member.
first act.
You let me say these awful things.
We've asked you before, and you keep saying no, but why don't you
Right,
just say
exactly,
yes?
but-
and, you
and
know,
then-
I'm
tell us
afraid
what-
somebody might ask me to do minutes.
Not only to
Oh,
say
no.
no, you tell us what you want us to do. So that's even,
No, I love it that I'm not on it.
But it's nice
That you let me talk.
I think it's great. You add a lot to the whole,
Okay, so I'll ask you.
but
Yeah, I like this.
I think Molly should also be on the committee.
I don't know. BD and I are on the same side of the table here. This is like. the
You already
safe
do, but
zone.
see, you've already done
This
stuff.
is the safe zone where we just get to come and
Do
say
what you want to do.
things
Yeah, right.
we want.
we actually do work.
No, but it's nice for other people to see your names sometimes.
Yeah, well,
Like-
I'm a guest and you put it on your minutes, okay?
Nobody
That's
looks at the
fine.
minutes. It's just nice to be like,
Well, if people watch the videos, they'll see it here.
also, it doesn't look so good when we don't have like a full committee. Like, because the select board like sees who's on the committee and then,
Well,
I know.
aren't you getting more people?
They're trying to right now.
Yeah.
Think,
right, so it's better to do that all at
I
once.
was gonna
'cause-
say, duh.
Oh, yeah, because I think
Yeah, we're-
technically aren't Samantha Scharf maybe isn't even,
She is.
Yeah, I think she was approved, yeah.
She
Yeah.
is, isn't she? She
She
said
was-
she wanted
was
to
waiting
be.
to get her name on the website.
Yeah.
I was
It is
under
now.
the
I think the
impression that she
bookkeeping
was.
just isn't done,
that is like, all these committees are like managing 15 nonprofits. It's like to try to keep track of who's on it and all this stuff and the schedule and the terms.
Yeah.
It's a crazy
Actually, the
system that the
schedule
town
is
created.
really important. It should be sticking to a schedule and that you are now, that's a big help.
Well, but Beatty, you just have to remember that the time that we take to try to stick to a schedule of terms for committee members and approvals and all that stuff, it takes away from other things the town could be
Yeah,
doing.
Yeah.
Significant, I mean, it's a lot more work than you might imagine.
Yeah.
Last time when we did it, we got letters from committee chairs that would have liked to have been notified with a different process and it's just, it's impossible to keep everybody
So
happy.
unless anybody has any more input, I'm gonna make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
thank you, Brian.
Second it.
And the next meeting would be,
June 5th.
All in favor?
June
I'm not allowed to
All in
vote,
favor?
so.
Yeah.
well, we can keep talking if you want, but not unofficially.
Aye,
I'll go get some coffees for us if you want.
Sure.
Oh, that's good.
June 5th.
June 5th is the next meeting.
That's the first Wednesday in June. According to my calendar. Unless it's 2025.
That's why I said June 5th, because that's the same day I'm busy doing the things. So I'll probably come in filthy.
Hmm.